Ryder. He was very long in the legs. He was a very long-legged baby.
Welcome to Still a Part of Us, a place where moms and dads share the story of their child who was stillborn or who died in infancy. I'm Winter.
And I'm Lee. We are grateful you joined us today. Please note that this is a story of loss and has triggers.
Thanks to our lost parents who are willing to be vulnerable and share their children with us.
If you're listening to this podcast, just know that on our YouTube channel there are pictures and videos that are related to the stories that are being shared.
Subscribe and share it with a friend that might need it and tell them to subscribe. Why? Because people need to know that even though our babies are no longer with us, they're still a part of us. Welcome to Still a Part of Us. I'm just so excited to be talking to Shelbie today. We had the privilege of talking to her mom, Tammy, a little while back about, actually it would be your brother, right, Shelbie?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That was born and then passed away a few months later due to SIDS. And so that is a really special episode that we had with her. And it was so touching and also horrifying when she told me that you had a loss too, Shelbie. And so I feel honored that you feel like you can share Ryder's story with us today. So thank you. Welcome to the podcast. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Shelbie? Where are you located in the United States? And then also a little bit about yourself, like what you do and what your family looks like.
Well, I am in Oregon, and my family's kind of just all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't get to see them very often, but I do talk to my mom a lot.
Yeah.
And she was actually the only person I knew that has ever lost a child. I never knew anybody before then.
I know. Most people, it's never on their radar or anything.
Right?
And as a little bit of point of reference, when at the time of this recording, how long ago was Ryder born?
It will be 4 years in September.
Okay.
So about 3.5.
3.5
probably.
years. Yeah, and still, it still can be kind of like full of sorrow and sadness and grief.
Yep.
Despite being only 3.5 years out. So, and what do you like to do? What are some of your hobbies and things that you do?
Well, I usually just work most of the time. I mean, being a single mom with a 7-year-old.
Yep.
Me and her, we like to go do a whole bunch of fun things. We'll go to the arcade place. We go out to dinner. We just like hanging out with the family, having our movie nights, and
fun.
Just being down at home, basically.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's a lot of families are just
living the simple life,
hanging out with each other, and that is wonderful. Okay, yep. So you have a 7-year-old daughter?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful.
Funky.
Isn't it so fun? They're full of life.
Oh, yes.
Being a single mom and then also working, it's a lot of work.
Yes.
That's all I can say. It's a lot of work. Okay, so then so tell me what your family looks like at the time of Ryder's, like when you got pregnant. Were you partnered at that time?
I was with his father at the time, which is also my daughter's father as well.
Okay.
We were actually engaged. We were actually trying for another baby.
You were? Okay.
Yeah. It took about a year after I got birth control taken out when we finally decided, and it took about a year. Then it was the day before my birthday, and just started feeling not as usual. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to take a couple pregnancy tests. And when I did, I took 3 of them just in case. Because,
yeah, I'm just going to make sure.
Right. With my daughter, I took 9 pregnancy tests.
No,
and they all came back negative.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
So how about the 3 for Ryder? Did
they
come back positive?
Came back positive.
Okay, instantly. They did. Oh my gosh, that is crazy.
Yep, instantly.
That's nuts.
So it was like I had a birthday party for me, and it was like, well, I have a present for all of you guys, and talking with his family, and we just came out with a balloon saying "Oh baby," showing his mom the pregnancy test, and then
Oh.
calling my mom and giving her the surprise.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yes, and it was like probably I was 8 weeks pregnant.
Mhm.
Me and his father weren't getting along very well, and so some bad things happened, like some abuse, and so it was decided that we were going to separate, and I was going to raise both of the kids on my own.
Okay. And
And
yeah.
I was a caregiver at the time too.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Shelby, this is so much. I cannot believe this. This is like a lot.
Yes.
And I just want to say good for you for getting into a situation where you would be safe. It sounds like
Yes.
that was the right thing to do.
It really was. I was happy. I mean, I still had people to celebrate the pregnancy with.
Mhm.
The person I was helped taking care of, she helped me do my gender reveal,
Oh,
and she was so excited, and we just I had the support I needed for sure,
yeah.
and I was prepared. I was prepared to be a single mom of two, of
Okay.
a newborn, and she was, oh man, I don't even remember what age she was. She was like 4 or 5, I think.
Yeah. I mean, if it
And
was, yeah, she'd be right about that age, right?
yeah,
Um, so Shelby, you did mention that your the person that you were caregiving for helped you kind of with your gender reveal. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that and how that went?
well, one of my friends, she made a cake, and it had blue and pink all over it. And
Mhm.
um, when I cut into it, it was just like all these like candy pearls came out that were just blue and blue sprinkles. And
Cute.
yes, and so it was just, I mean, it was just us. It was just us three. And but it was really magical for me. I
Good.
think.
That's awesome. When about when did you have that? Did you find out early that Ryder was going to be a boy, or was that more at the anatomy scan?
That was more at the anatomy scan. He kind of wanted to keep things hidden.
Oh,
he, yeah, he didn't want to show off apparently. Um, I did a gender reveal for my daughter, and so it was like, well, I want to do a gender reveal for this one too. And
yeah.
I was like, it's gonna be a boy. It's gonna be a boy,
So
and
you
it's
did
just
feel
like
like it was going to be a
I was
boy.
correct.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And
Um,
I was happy because I was like, I'm gonna have my girl and I'm gonna have my boy.
yeah, yeah. Um, Shelby, I wanted to ask you. So when you first got pregnant, you go into the doctor? So I know you took a lot of pregnancy tests, right? And did you end up going into a doctor pretty quickly on, or I know some people wait till about 8, 9, 10 weeks or so for that first
Um,
appointment.
no, I scheduled an appointment, and my appointment was gonna be for a 9 week checkup.
Okay, okay,
Um, yeah, so it was like automatically I called my gynecologist or my OB, and I was just like, okay, hey, I got positive pregnancy test. Just want to let you know.
yeah, yeah,
And so they're like, okay, well, we'll put you on the schedule, get you your first ultrasound, and all that kind of stuff. And it was really, really, really cool. But I ended up having to go to the ER to get checked out because some physical things happened between me and his father. And so, and I've already had a miscarriage before in 2016.
okay,
And so it was like, well, I just want to make sure because I'm early on, don't want anything happen. And
yeah.
they're like, yep, no, baby's perfect, baby's
Everything was
healthy, good
okay.
heartbeat. I was like, okay, well, good.
Okay, good, good. That I'm glad you got that checked out too. Also because, yeah, you got to make sure. I mean,
Yes,
obviously
always
you.
make sure, you always have everything
Yeah, yeah,
marked down.
yep. Okay, so everything is going well. You guys had separated and you
hmm
were making all these plans. And were you going into the doctor kind of periodically? I think it's really quite, I mean, it's like once a month kind of a thing or at the
Yeah,
early
first
days, right?
trimester I was going once a month. My support person was my daughter. She
Good,
came to my
good.
appointments. Um,
I bet she
she
loved
got
that.
she got to do the Doppler. She got
Oh,
to
she did.
look at the ultrasounds, and
Yeah.
she's like, "That's my baby. That's my baby."
That's so cute.
Yeah.
She
And
was I bet she was so excited.
yes. But I was having a healthy pregnancy.
Okay.
Everything was looking great. He was growing on time. He was actually bigger than he was supposed to be.
Mhm.
And that's when I started a new caregiving job. And so instead of taking just care of one person, I was taking care of 5 people.
Oh
And
gosh,
yeah,
that's a
but
lot more work.
a lot more teamwork though. I
Yes.
had a lot more people to help me because it was just me by myself with the first person.
Yeah.
And everyone that I worked with was excited. The people I took care of were excited. They always
Mhm.
wanted to feel my belly, always wanted to feel him kicking,
So fun.
and he became the house baby. And so
Oh, that's adorable.
yes, and so he became the baby that when he was born, he was going to go over there and say hi to everyone just like my daughter did.
Yeah.
And it was really, really a big support group, I think, when I went to work and when I was at home.
Yeah.
And
That's wonderful. It just
yes,
because
it really is.
some people don't have that, and I think that's great. Even if like maybe your family is not super close by, or like your blood family is not close by, but just yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
I still
wonderful.
had a good support system for sure, and I think it was my own little cheer team at that time
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Okay, and then you went to the anatomy scan. Was that around 20 weeks or so then?
Yes.
Okay. And how did Ryder look at that time during the
Oh,
actual
he looked great.
did he?
His
Okay.
brain was so developed. His lungs
Mhm.
were getting developed. Oh, he was a perfect baby, that's
Okay.
for sure. I mean, he was actually easier than my daughter's
Oh, really?
pregnancy, for sure.
You're like, "Yes."
Yes.
Um, and when you did find out wait, did you find out at the anatomy scan, or did you want to, like, find out later? Does that make
No,
sense?
they
Like,
gave me an envelope and I gave it
okay,
to my
they
friend, and then it was
and
like,
then they didn't okay.
yep, and there's like a couple days later after that. And then that's when we did the gender reveal party.
Oh
And
my
then it was
gosh.
just and then from there on it was, oh, little boy's coming, and started getting boy clothes, getting his bassinet already, his nursery already. My daughter was just over the moon every time she saw anything little boy. She's like, we got to get this for Ryder.
Oh my
We
gosh.
need to get this for Ryder.
That is
She helped me pick out his outfit for when he was supposed to come home
mhm.
and all that. And it was just it was a really exciting because it was like that was my partner, was my daughter. She was my partner.
Yeah. Yep, and she was there. She was there to
Yep.
support, like you said,
Yeah, she
support you
yeah, she
all the
was.
way.
She really was.
That's so sweet. And then how are you feeling during the first trimester and the second trimester? Were you feeling okay? I know you were working a lot.
Yeah.
You did have a little. I mean, it sounds like there was some, like you said, you mentioned that there was some abuse, but um, and I don't want to downplay that at all. But were you generally healthy and feeling okay?
Oh yeah. I was actually had a lot more energy than before.
Yeah.
And I was really excited, and I didn't have as much morning sickness. I mean, there was a couple days that, I would get sick, but it was like, oh, just put in the one of those nausea lollipops,
Mm-hmm.
and it went throughout my day. And I mean, the only thing that was wrong with my pregnancy was I was craving Arby's sauce. It wasn't Arby's, it was the
The
sauce.
the sauce. Pregnancy cravings are the funniest thing to me. Like, you're like, "Where did that come from?"
Right.
That is Arby's sauce. No, that's the first for me to hear
Yeah,
that.
yeah, it was just the sauce. I had to have the sauce
Oh, that is
on
so funny.
everything.
And, okay, so then you're going along I was gonna ask, when you found out it was going to be a boy, did you come up with Ryder's name? Was that something that was on your mind already?
No, it was actually going to be my daughter's name if she was going to be a boy.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was already a name that was already chosen,
Yeah.
and it was because of their father, because he always wanted a son named Ryder
Uh-huh.
with his name as the middle name. And it was
Okay.
like, well, yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Well, great. And it's a cute name, so like that's perfect. So did you
It would definitely have fit him for sure. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
the way he moved in my belly, he would have been a wild child.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That is so fun. I love like getting to know like feel like you know your baby's personality from
Yep.
the time that they're just like chilling out or doing crazy stuff in your belly and just fun. It's really
Yep.
fun.
He liked to kick my ribs a lot. Very painful.
You're like, "Come on, buddy."
Yep.
Okay, and then as you get along through your pregnancy, you're probably starting to go in a little bit more regularly. Can you tell us how those visits were, how you were feeling on those ones as well?
Those visits were really, really good. They were telling me that he was starting to get in position, especially when I was starting, because I was only a month away. And it was actually, I think, a week before I lost him. He, we had an ultrasound, and
Mhm.
my daughter came in, and they measured him. Everything was going great. They're like, well, he might even come a little early. You never know, because he's definitely getting to the point where he's moving down.
Okay.
He's definitely gaining his weight. He was about 3 pounds 8 ounces at that ultrasound.
Okay, so yeah, definitely. And what week was that in your pregnancy?
That I was
Was that about 33,
yeah, it was about
33ish?
30. Yeah, 33, because I think I had him at 37 or 36.
Okay, so then it probably
About 35 weeks, I think.
okay, so about 35 weeks.
Hmm.
Looking good. And 35 weeks and being about 3 pounds, 8-ish ounces, that's good because they start really
Yep.
putting on weight those last few weeks. So,
Yep. And he was already measuring at I think he was measuring at almost 18 inches already
oh,
at
yeah,
that point.
that's pretty long,
Yeah,
right?
he was
It's
gonna
like
be
that's,
yeah, he was a long baby.
yeah, okay. And so feeling still really good, looking good on the ultrasound and
Oh yeah.
everything. Okay, and then can you tell us as those other this as you continue on, did you do any extra testing or any non-stress testing or anything like that?
I mean, I did the normal glucose test, and I was
Right?
telling them about my situation, and they said that all my tests came out normal.
Okay,
My stress level was a little bit high, but it wasn't concerning to them because my blood pressure was still normal,
good.
and so like all my health checkups were normal.
Okay.
But they were telling me to de-stress. I kind of cut back on work a little bit.
Which is good.
Slowed,
It's like
yeah, so
the
I slowed
you had a
down on
lot
that a
of
little
work.
bit. And then just I took it a lot more easier. I wasn't When I was at work, I wasn't doing any lifting.
Good. Yes.
Yep, I was just kind of just sitting there hanging out, basically
Okay.
watching TV with the people, and or listening to music. That's about it. I mean, and then whenever I cleaned my house, it was okay, take 10 minutes, clean it, stop for about 30 minutes.
Chill out for a minute.
Yep.
That's great. Good. I mean, yeah. I mean, at that stage, you're so big and just
Yeah.
uncomfortable. At least
Yeah.
I was.
And then I think it was about the last couple days I started getting very stressed out, and I actually caught my ex's mistress in his car as why he was out of town. Yeah. And I was at work at the time, and I
Uh-huh.
was just trying to get lunch, pregnant, hungry.
Yeah. Oh my
And
gosh. That is
um
a lot of stress. Okay. So you were, I mean, I know that you guys had separated, but you were still sort of together. Is that
yeah,
right?
kind because he was coming back into our life towards the end of the pregnancy, because things started getting real for him, and he's
Right.
like, I want to be with my family. I want to have, the baby with you. I want to be able to raise our kids together. And so we were in the beginning of trying again, and he was staying at my house with me.
Okay.
But then he went out of town to go visit a friend of ours in Arkansas.
Okay.
And he said that he was going to leave his car at his friend's house while he was gone. And it didn't make sense to me, but it was like, well, it's because the airport's in that town, so I understand.
Okay.
Because it's going to be an early flight.
Okay.
And but the day before I lost Ryder, I saw the person. Well, she's not. Well, I don't know how to explain this really. The person who me and him, why we separated in the first place and why things started getting physical was because he was cheating on me with this woman. And I guess he never stopped seeing her after he try to come back home.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I saw her in his car, and of course, 8 months pregnant, I'm going to be emotional. And
Yeah.
I broke down and I cried, and I called his mom, and she said, well, why don't you come up to the house for the night and, hang out with me, and we can play cards and, get your mind off the things, because he's not worth it. He's not worth the stress. He's not worth the tears. And that's her own son.
Yeah. I know. I was like, when you're a mom, you're just like, come on, guys.
Yeah, exactly. And so I did, and it really did help. It really got me calmed down. I was having fun, and Ryder was kicking, Ryder was moving around, and then all of a sudden I was like, I don't feel really good. And I go to the bathroom, and I was like, okay, well, I just have to go, I just have to go to the bathroom. No. And then I stand up, and I just get tunnel vision, ringing in the ears, instantly hot flash, and blurred vision. And it was just, I was like, something's not right.
Oh, yeah. Seriously.
And so I sat down for a moment, and then I started getting that feeling again. And I just looked at his mom, and I was like, we have to go. I can't, there's something going on. And so we go, and I mean, he's moving, Ryder was still moving around.
Okay.
It's just, I wasn't feeling right.
Yeah.
And go to the hospital, and they make me wait for about an hour in the waiting room while I'm going through contractions. Like, I started having contractions as we were going down to the hospital. And it's about a 15-minute drive to the hospital just from the house.
Yeah.
Then when we finally do go back, a nurse looks at me, and she's like, I don't know how to use one of these Doppler things, so just bear with me. Oh, okay. Will do. I'll try. And
was this in the
ER?
It was in the ER. Okay. Because sometimes the folks in the ER, because a lot of times they just send the like a pregnancy,
Right.
A pregnant woman up to L&D, because they have very specific, people that know how to take care of pregnant women and babies and stuff. And so, yeah, I'm sure she doesn't know how to use that. It's probably not the easiest thing to learn how to do. Okay.
And so she couldn't really, she couldn't really find a spot, and which is understandable, especially since she did give me the warning. And so the doctor came in about maybe 30 minutes later after that.
And was she able to find his?
No, she couldn't find anything. And so she's like, well, I'm going to go talk to the doctor, and then he'll be in a minute. And then it was 30 minutes later, and when he finally came in and was like, okay, we're going to use this Doppler on you. And so he starts using the Doppler, and he couldn't find anything. And so he said that he was going to go get an ultrasound machine. And so he grabbed one, and he started looking, and it was about maybe 10 minutes of him looking. And then he said, I'm going to have an ultrasound tech come in, and we are we're not going to keep looking at things. I'm like, is everything okay? And he's like, we don't know yet. And then walked out. And then about 30 minutes later, the ultrasound tech comes in. And then she does her thing. About 2 minutes later, she leaves. And then 20 minutes later, the doctor comes back in. He sits down at the edge of the bed and just says, we can't find his heartbeat. He's gone. And I was just, I was in shock mostly.
Yeah.
Because it's like, he was just moving. That can't be right. There's something wrong then.
Shelby, were you feel like from the time that you had gone to the bathroom and stood up and didn't feel great, felt like were any of those symptoms getting better when you drove over and were waiting in the hospital for an
No,
hour and then like another 30 minutes and then another I'm like,
no. Nothing got better. It actually just kept getting worse. Like the pain started getting worse. I felt like I had to go to the bathroom again, and I think my water actually broke instead.
yeah.
And then I started bleeding, and it
When
was just,
and that was in the ED, in the
yep,
emergency department.
yep. And it wasn't a concern to them, but it was
What?
a major concern to me.
Like what?
Yep. And they were like, well, we'll give you something for the pain, and wait about an hour, and they're like, and then they finally give me fentanyl, the one drug that I have been scared of my whole life. I don't, but they decided to give me fentanyl for the pain, which didn't even touch the
Mm.
pain. And they said that they were going to transfer me to the hospital that does deliver babies.
Okay, so you did go to like one of the hospitals that you weren't went to
It
was
didn't have a labor and delivery.
okay.
Up here in Oregon, there's only one hospital that delivers babies, and that one is about 2 hours from my house.
Oh, wow, okay.
So I just went to the nearest hospital because it's like
Well,
something's going on.
yes, yeah, and that totally makes sense. So that's just that's crazy to me that they don't even have any sort of so obviously you were at a smaller hospital that uh,
Yeah,
uh,
but I mean, we do have like pregnancy resources centers here. We do have birthing centers,
yeah,
like little private birthing centers here in
but
my
nothing
town.
with a labor and delivery floor kind of a
Yeah,
thing. Okay.
but it was like this was an emergency. They would just tell me go straight to the hospital.
Yeah.
And then it's like I'd rather go 15 minutes instead of 2 hours.
Yeah.
But the amount of time I was in the ER to the time I actually got to the hospital, to the labor and delivery hospital, I could have been at the labor and delivery hospital,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
And they just didn't really care in the ER. It was just like, oh well, you're here, he's gone, nothing we can do. Yeah. So it took about 3 hours for them just to get me transported. And they said, oh, well, they'll give you more pain medicine in the ambulance and they'll get you there quickly. No, no pain medicine, no nothing in the ambulance on the ride there except for, oh, the pain will be over soon. Don't worry. It'll be all done. It'll
You're
be
like,
over.
I'm contracting. I'm
Like,
but
this isn't going to be over for me. This isn't going to be over for a while,
yeah. Yeah.
especially after the news I got told.
Yeah. So you were in shock when they said we can't find
Mm-hmm.
the heartbeat. I just want to back up to that. How did you feel, and did you reach out to anybody to tell? Like,
I called my mom.
you did.
That was the first person I had to call was my mom. And calling her was one of the hardest things to do. Because she was already afraid of the pregnancy because of it being a little boy, and
Yeah.
and with my brother.
Yeah.
But it was just Mom, they can't find it. They don't know where it's at. They don't know. They I was like, he's gone. And when she was the only one I called at first, I kind of waited until after I got to the labor and delivery hospital before I called anyone else, because I couldn't call anyone else.
Yeah.
But I knew I had to call her and let her know. And she's like, they're gonna save him, right? I don't know. When I finally did get to the hospital, it was just me. I didn't have anyone there. And so I called his dad, and with him being in Arkansas, it was just like, you got to answer. I know it's a different time zone, but you have to answer.
Yeah.
And he just wasn't answering. And then I got a hold of his friend that he was seeing, and I told him, I said, you need to get him to call me. I have something important to tell him. And then when he finally did call me, he said, Mom has already told me, and I want to be left alone right now. And it's like, I can't be alone right now. And the hospital, the ER hospital actually told his mom that she wasn't allowed to go.
Oh, to be to go along with and meet there because you
Yeah, and
weren't
then
technically like family or something.
well, they told her that she couldn't follow the ambulance, like she couldn't go to the labor and delivery hospital at all. But the labor and delivery hospital was waiting for her.
Yeah, that's I am so baffled
Yeah,
by okay. That's bizarre. Okay.
yeah. But I mean, I had my doctor that I was having for my whole pregnancy with Ryder,
Mhm.
and so it was really nice to see her face
Yeah.
when she came in, and it was she started checking me automatically, getting the epidural ready, like getting the anesthesiologist down to my
Yeah.
room, and like she wanted to make sure I was comfortable, and she wanted to make sure I was okay. And I was losing more and more blood at that time too. And the ER doctor did not inform her that I was losing blood or that I lost my water.
Yeah.
And for me, it was, I don't know, it was more painful when it came to the contractions and came to any of that kind of pain. It was just 10 times more painful. I don't know why, but maybe it was because I was bleeding,
Yeah.
but it was like even the epidural was
Wasn't
barely
touching
touching
it.
it. Yeah. But the labor progressed really fast, which was lucky. But when he
Cuz
did
let
come,
me just make sure that I've got the timeline correct.
no, you're good.
You were playing games at um your ex's mother's
Yep, that
house
was
at
6 p.m.
6 p.m. and then you didn't feel great. You headed over to the hospital. You were at the hospital for what, 3-ish hours?
Yep,
And then you got transferred over to the other hospital after another 3 hours. And so
yep.
was that like 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning or something when you
I
got
had
there?
him at 2:23 in the morning.
Whoa, that is very fast. Okay.
Yep. I got there, they got the epidural in, and they got the Pitocin going.
Yeah,
And when he started coming down, that's when they just started going, because I mean my water was already broke.
exactly. Yeah.
So I was already at, I think, 7 centimeters when I got there.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So I mean I was already
That's
in labor.
yeah.
And
Oh, yes, for sure.
and
Did you talk to your doctor that has been seeing you this entire time? And when you saw her, did you guys have a chat or did she say anything to you about what had happened or what she was expecting or?
Yes, we did after I got everything done, like, because after I had him, it was instantly take care of Shelby
Yep.
because they had the crash cart ready because I lost about 3 liters of blood.
Yeah.
And they were really, really worried about me crashing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot
And
of blood. That's a
yeah,
lot of
so
blood.
her main thing was making sure that I was getting back to normal on my testing when it came to my anemia, making sure that my blood count was going back up, and that I was eating.
Yeah.
And
So when you got to that hospital, you saw her and she saw what condition you were in. They
and
were
she just instantly went
started to
straight to work.
good. Okay. So she obviously knew what was happening and what
Yes.
needed to happen in order to get you as safe, like taken care of
Yes,
as much as you
because
could.
the only thing she knew when I got there or before I got there was that there was no heartbeat for the
Okay.
baby. That's all she knew, but she did not know that I was losing blood. She
Yeah.
did not know that I was going through all of the symptoms I was going through. So she was very, very worried about me.
Yeah. The I yeah. I assume that when she saw you, she's like, "Whoa, this is worse than
Yep,
anybody told me."
instantly get the crash cart, get things ready.
Okay, so they got the epidural on. They started you so that you would be laboring. It sounds like you were already laboring, but did
Mhm.
they put on some Pitocin just to
Just
get
to get
to
it
keep
for
going?
getting it quicker, yeah, just to get
Okay.
it to where I'm
So
ready
you
to
could
push.
okay. So then you got there, got started, and it sounds like you gave. Can you tell us a little bit more about giving birth and
Um
to Ryder?
It was about like 1.5 pushes when I had him.
Oh,
Yeah, it was a quick out.
yeah. Okay.
And they automatically put him on my chest even though he wasn't, he was born sleeping. They still put him on my chest and he was still pink.
Yes,
He,
and
he,
warm
he
from
was
yeah.
gorgeous, and it was just like you're a fully formed baby, and and when the shock got when I finally got over a little bit of the shock, I instantly looked up at my doctor and I asked her, I said, "What did I do wrong?" And she said, "You did nothing wrong. It was a placental abruption." And I didn't know what it was. I
Yeah.
had no idea what it was. And she said, "My placenta detached from my uterus." She says it's caused by many things. It can be caused by a fall, it can be caused by stress, it can be caused by lifting something.
Mhm.
And so I'm just thinking over my head, what did I lift? What did I do? And it just kind of, I was putting all the blame on me when it came to why he was gone. But then as time has gone on, I have realized that it was because I was stressed. It was because I was going through a lot of things in my life that I shouldn't have at that time,
Yeah.
especially being pregnant.
Yeah.
But I got to spend the whole day with him. I got to have him from the time he was born to I think 5:30 in the afternoon.
The next day or that
Uh
day. Yes. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But it was so nice. I got to take a whole bunch of pictures of him. They got footprints of him. They did castings of his hands and his
Oh.
feet.
Mhm.
And they gave me outfits, they gave me blankets. And when it was time to go, my doctor actually cried with me. And it was like that right there is compassion for somebody.
Yeah.
Is when a doctor who is supposed to be professional is sitting there showing their emotion.
Yeah.
And she even told me, she was like, "I'm going to take really good care of him when I take him, because the funeral home was there to take him, and it was time for me to go." And I just couldn't give it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't give up that bed.
It's like it's the worst feeling ever, Shelby.
Yep. and the nurses, according to my doctor, the nurses, they stood there and did that whole walk with him. Even though he was covered with a blanket, he was still in that bed, and he was handed over like a baby should be. And the funeral home did the cremation with no charge.
Oh, so
they even gave me a box for him, because I was still waiting on the urn my mom bought, which I thought my mom would never have to do for one of her grandkids. But I thought I would never be planning a funeral. And then instead of signing a birth certificate, I was signing a death certificate.
I know.
And it's really hard when you're trying to explain something to a child, especially a child who is really excited to be a big sister.
Yeah.
Because when I left the hospital, I almost collapsed to my knees because my daughter was there waiting at the car. And when she was waiting at the car, she was like, where's Ryder? When is he coming home? And I couldn't even explain it to her then. It was like, he's not coming home just yet.
Yeah.
And then going to the store, because I still had my bands on. And they were like, oh, just had a baby? Yeah, one that doesn't come home to me. I should have been, I was a little rude, but it's like, it wasn't exciting for me. I wanted to be home, and I wanted to be with my babies. And when it was finally time to tell my daughter that Ryder was coming home, but he was coming home in a different way, that's when it just sank in that I'm going to have to do this and explain it to her again in her life, because she's not going to understand it now.
Right.
But when I got the call saying that his cremations was ready, and I went and looked at my daughter, turned to her, and I said, okay, I have something important to tell you. She's like, okay. And she's a smart little girl. She really is. And I said, okay, well, Ryder's going to come home, but he's not going to come home the way you think he's going to come home. She said, well, why? Well, because he passed away. And she was like, so he's not coming home at all? And I said, well, he's coming home, but you won't be able to play with him. You won't be able to hold him. And she said, well, why would God do that to us? And I said, I don't know. I just know God has plans. And to this day, she still talks about her brother. Everywhere she goes, she's like, yep. I have a brother. I'm an older sister.
Yeah. They are so proud of that. Isn't that like the sweetest thing?
Yeah. And it's like, we celebrate his birthday. We have a little shelf for him for his urn, and she tells everybody, that's my brother. And then she tells everybody about the bear that she got from her grandparents, and that has his heartbeat. She's like, that's my baby's heartbeat. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I'm so sorry, Shelbie. Having to explain it to your kids, and
it's hard, but yeah. It was worth it in the end, because even though she was young, she still understands.
Yeah.
And she still understands that he's there with us.
Yeah.
And he will always be there with us.
Yes, exactly. Shelbie, did you end up having a funeral service or a memorial service or did you guys end up just taking him home and doing something yourselves?
Well, we kind of had like a little memorial service. It was just friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
We had all of my ex's family there, and he was there, luckily, which was nice. My mom, I video chatted her and my grandparents. So I video chatted all my family, and so they got to be there too.
Good.
And I got to read a poem, and we got to show pictures, and my mom made beautiful little cards for everyone to take home. And I think it was just beautiful. And I mean, I still have those pictures hanging up.
Yeah.
Like, I have pictures of his feet and his little face
Mm-hmm.
and his birth time and his weight and all that, um, all hanging up next to me and his sister. And I even, because the hospital actually made a little fox with Ryder's weight on it in it.
Oh, great.
So yep, so it's a little fox that weighs
That
just like,
weighs.
yep,
uh,
weighs as much as he does. And
What did he? What did his? What was his weight and his length?
he was 4 pounds 3 ounces, and he was actually 19 and a half inches
Oh my!
long.
Oh my goodness! He was long for
I
being
mean, my daughter was
so
19
little.
and 3/4 inches
And
long when she was born.
oh my gosh. Wow, that is he would have been a little tall one, it sounds like.
Yep.
And you did end up calling him Ryder,
Hmm.
right? From which is a wonderful name. I think that's just
He's
awesome.
he would have been a little cowboy, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think it sounds like you had a lot of support at the funeral, which is or the memorial service. I think
I
that's
did.
wonderful because that is it is not easy to do that, to plan it, to show up
Yeah.
and and
And I asked
yeah.
everyone to wear blue, and they did.
Oh,
And
wonderful.
they honored everything that I asked of them.
Yeah.
I mean, even though it was simple little things, they still did it, and it was really, really nice.
It makes a huge difference when people are willing to show up that way in the small things.
Yes, it
Yeah.
really does.
Oh, I am so sorry, Shelby. I were you feeling okay? Were they were they I know that you had lost a lot of blood. Were they able to get you stitched up and stop the bleeding and everything like that too? Were you feeling okay to have been released
Yes.
shortly after?
Once I started, because I kind of had to force myself to eat. But once I did, I was feeling better. I was getting my energy back.
Mhm.
I wasn't dizzy. So I was feeling back to normal almost,
Okay.
besides the grief. And I think
Oh,
that was the
yes.
only thing. Yeah, I think that was the only thing that was getting to me that day, was just the grief.
Okay.
But other than that, physically, I was I
You
was
were
I was good to go.
okay. Well, that is good. Like you're strong because
I know I bounced back
I
real quick for
I would
some reason.
yeah, which is a blessing because the grief is a different like if you were suffering from being physically weak or physically not good and on top of the grief then that is just like a double whammy and you just feel
Right.
terrible. So I'm glad that you had a little bit of good you had a good recovery at least
Yeah.
physically. Yeah, because the grief is a totally different thing. That'll wreck you. So,
Yeah.
unfortunately, so Shelby, thank you so much for telling us Ryder's story. I wanted to make sure that we didn't miss anything. Is there anything else you wanted to tell us about him? Yeah, anything that we may have missed. I just want to make sure that I was like, there was just a lot. There was so much that happened. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, my head is swimming. And I'm sure that you've told the story a few times. And
Right.
this is, it's kind of crazy of everything that happened in such a short amount of time.
Well, I mean, he's definitely my angel, that's for sure. And him and my daughter, they were absolute twins when they were born, that's for sure. So
Really?
they would have I definitely feel like I know what he would have looked like, for sure.
You're like, they're definitely siblings. I know, isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Just like love how, yeah,
It's like I see Ryder every day when I look at my daughter. I really do.
that's the best.
Yes, it really is.
That is wonderful. Well, Shelby, thank you again for sharing Ryder's story. And I'm so sorry for your loss and how kind of dramatic it was and shocking. Like sounds so shocking.
Yes.
But thank you for sharing him because I feel like he's definitely still part of your family too.
Yep. Every day.
Every day.